I have raised over $1 billion from 32,000 investors and counting over my entire career. Most people are teaching you how to raise capital, haven't raised a single dime. I guarantee 50% have not raised a dollar, and they're teaching you how to raise capital. I did it across real estate, venture, some private equity. I have so much experience doing this. I can remember the earlier days when I first started out and what I did and how I did that. It was always kind of brokering deals, working with institutions, private funds, and private individuals is my specialty. I've gone through different market cycles. There's times where I had to raise money that I didn't for some projects, and times I did. Really, I've been pretty successful and fortunate to really close deals quite often. And I have so much experience, over 3 decades of experience, that I want to share with you. It's time for me to share this with you, the secrets, how this works. Started in the 90s. Today it's 2026. Things are kind of the same. They're not that much different. Who are the players in the game? Different market cycles. The lies that you guys are getting from people, I'm telling you, let's scrape leads. Let's do a cold email outreach. Let's do a LinkedIn scrape. Let's look for accredited investors. Man, what is that all about? I really want to talk to you about the intricacies and how this works and the lies out there. Hey, let's go to an RIA network. Yes, let's go to a network of people who are RIAs, registered investment advisors. First of all, you can't pay them a fee. You can't. That's illegal. That's a securities violation. Secondly, do they want to give up their clients that they're managing their money, which they get a fee from, and put it into your deal? I don't know. Just think for a second. Rational sense. So I represent a family office or a person with money. Let's call it a person with a lot of money, $5 million. And someone comes to me, hey, why don't you put your client in my deal? Well, if I am getting paid on that, a percentage of that 5 million, let's say 1% or whatever that is, 1.5%, and then I take that money and I give it to you, and I now no longer control that money, I make less money. So why am I incentivized to give that to you? And then let's see, what is it? Is it a 5-7 year deal where the money's tied up? Is it a quick hit? What is that? And then I lose credibility if I don't recommend that product. So if I go to the customer or investor directly, he goes to his IRA advisor, and then he's going to say no all the time. So I guarantee you, if you have done that, if you've had the experience, and if you've reached out to people who go to their RIA advisor for advice, 100% of the time they're going to say no, not do the deal. Now, you might have a relationship with the RIA, and you might be doing something where you're kind of taking care of them. He'll refer your clients, but is that legal? No. And if you're going to scale and be in the public, which we have to be in the public today because of all this social media, we have to put our brand out there, especially with AI, right? We have to change with the times. We cannot do that because that is a violation, a securities violation. And I could go into detail with all my experience, how this works and how you're going to pay hundreds, if not millions of dollars with attorneys. I've spent millions with attorneys. I'm talking millions. I'm talking, wow, you shake your head. You're like, what's going on? It's a game. And then working with institutions, how that works when they're negotiating and you're paying all these attorney fees and how to negotiate in your half just to protect the parties involved. Where's AI when I needed it, when it could have been like $10,000 and getting these $200,000-$300,000 attorney bills? I could talk to you about how that works and how, hey, let me get my attorney involved because somebody wants to protect themselves, which is perfectly fine to protect themselves, but adds more costs and they bill you. How many times have you done a deal and you get to that 11th hour and maybe your investor wants to hire an attorney to review it, but he will not pay that bill. That bill will be yours. Have you done that? Or you get an invoice wired to escrow for $50,000 out of the blue. Has that happened to you? What about a deal that blew up? What if it goes up? I thought a deal was blown up before where I wired my own money. Hey, I'll put skin in the game. The deal didn't go through. What happens then? Sometimes you get egg on your face. Do you have those experiences? And then you're going to listen to someone that's online telling you how to do this stuff who hasn't gone through that, hasn't gone through the attorneys, the regulators, each state, nationally. How's that work? Blue sky laws. I could go on and on and on and on and on here. It's a lot. And I have that experience. You're just getting lied to. This is easy. Hey, do marketing. Marketing. Okay, I got $1 million. I'm going to hit a landing page and then I'm going to fill out a form and then I'm going to upload all these documents, take 30 minutes. Then I'm going to wait for a phone call and get text and blown up by phone calls and emails. And then I'm going to give you $1 million. Well, tell me about that story that happened. Not the exception. Don't talk about exceptions. Tell me how you systematically did that, right? Well, when I started out, I sound like my grandparents here, walked both ways to school, uphill in a snowstorm. I went with data. I found investors who like to invest in my product, and I reached out to them, and I got to know them. And I led a little bit more at the investment because they're professional investors. And I was able to get them to look at my deals and then eventually get them to fund the deals. Very, very early, I did this in my early 20s. I came out and I was always about, hey, having investors right away, right? For deals, getting a good deal. I was always like, I got to get a good deal. How many times did I run to one of my mentors and say, is this a deal? Is this a deal? Is this a deal? And the guy would say, no, 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 until finally I brought a deal that he funded. And it was just, he scrutinized every little thing. Back then it was construction. And I remember one deal we're looking at, the numbers made sense. I was brokering the deal. We're trying to raise money for somebody else. And I had to go to a private party. And this guy was like the godfather of like private money. So going back and forth, and look, the construction numbers made sense. Great area, great comps. Everything looked good. Got down the nitty gritty. And then he looked at the lot lines and how close we were building to the neighbor. And he said, too close. Not going to do it. And I was like, man, I had everything lined up and I didn't get the deal done for this person. So I was like, oh, great. That was a tough one for me because I was trying to raise capital from this private individual. He had his own private fund at the time. And it didn't happen. It didn't happen for it. Now, granted, was that a good deal or not? Because the underwriting was so stringent. The guy got funding somewhere else, of course, because when they're that close, they kind of get done. But this is my story. This is my experience and where I learned a lot on how to underwrite and present right deals, especially when I was younger and new at this. I had to bring in the right deal. So that's kind of what I focused on in my early days when I first doing this, is bringing in the conservative deals first, not the outside the box deals. That is something that I do recommend for people to do when you first start out, is look at things that are inside the box that are very easy to get funded. Especially in this environment today, there's so much opportunity. Go get a deal. I'll get you funding. I'll give you funding. I'll buy it myself if you find it. I have this experience. There's so many lies out there of what's going on. Hey, Gren, you're trying to raise money for a company or an idea. Well, that's a different type of way of raising capital. Who are you presenting to? If you can't raise $100,000 for your idea, you need to look at yourself, right? So you definitely got to take a big look at yourself. If you can't raise $100,000, you should have that in your network. Granted, there certain situations where it might be difficult to do, but $100,000, come on now, that's not tough to do. Why can't you do it? I got 30 years experience. I'm in my 50s. I've been doing this since my 20s. I've done institutions, private funds, different market cycles, different investment types, from venture to businesses to real estate, different types of real estate, from commercial real estate to residential real estate. Going through residential real estate, a lot of rules change over the years and how you did things. So you had to kind of adjust accordingly. Land, entitled land, raw land, the difference between the two. Big difference. Where you are, what part of the countries you're in, right? Different areas of the country have different ways to do things, dealing with the attorneys, the regulators. That is called experience. I have a ton of experience doing this. A lot of things don't go according to plan when you do things. There's market conditions, environmental conditions, geopolitical events today. Jesus, every second you turn on the TV or some social media outlet, at what's going on in the world. It's changing so fast. Information's moving so fast, and expectations from people, expectations with your investors. Do you have the wherewithal to sit them down and really explain to them how it works? Or are you just going to take the money in and just go, I'm not going to deal with that? What happens when you have angry investors? 30,000 investors? Jesus Christ, that's quite a bit of investors to deal with. And then you have to build, well, they all have a different thought. They all think a different way. I can't please you all. I have to develop a system how I communicate. I can't be going around every 2 seconds picking up the phone call. That doesn't happen. 30,000 people, what am I going to do? I'll drown, right? So at the end of the day, really, the experience that I have, the lies people are telling you on how to raise capital, who are you going to listen to? You going to listen to me? 30,000 plus investors, market cycles. I've funded deals. I've lost deals. I've made money. Some cases I didn't make the most money. Been pretty good at preserving capital. Sometimes you don't. Things go south if you're very speculative in nature. It depends on how your investments are. There's a ton of stuff to learn here. A ton of stuff, and you kind of think about like, where did I get started? We could go back there, but the experience, the lies people are telling you, this is easy to do. Hey, I could do it for a living. I'll raise money for your project. Hey, I want this. I could tell you all about the ins and outs. Now it's time for me to share my stories with you and how to do it. And hey, different market, right? Who are you going to listen to? The guy who was in the last one market cycle, the guy's been through 4 or 5 market cycles and knows how to adapt. Are you going to listen to that playbook that's old? Most people are. They're buying these online courses. Let's how to do this. Let's do this. Listen to this influencer. Influencer. To me, is a person of influence. Of what? I don't know. Well, I know these influencers. What do they actually do at the end of the day? They get a lot of money from coaching, right? I guess. Are they operators? They operate an influencer company, maybe, right? They operate a content company. That's what they are. They're operators of content. Are they going to teach you how to do certain things? Watch as you start going to this influencer and learn how to raise capital. Let's ask some questions. I could say, park that and say, hey, you know what? I am done operating because I got 30 years. Now I'm going to consulting. I'm not going to call it coaching. I'm going to call it consulting. I could consult you and give you a plan that works for you based on my experience, because each and every one of those experiences gave me the knowledge and the know-how to adjust accordingly. So even if you gave AI everything I know, it still wouldn't figure it out. It's learning, but AI is not going to solve it. Go talk to it right now. Hey, I have a business plan, yada, 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 yada. It's going to give you some answer. It's not going to give you everything because you're inputting it with what knowledge? I can input it with my knowledge. It's still not giving me the best answers, but I could still input with my knowledge. I guarantee you that's going to be better than anything else you could come up with or anyone else out there. Do they have the experience? No. That's a ton of experience. And then regulations, how's that work? The risks involved. Forget the attorneys. They want to be paid at the end of the day, right? They want to make money. They'll warn you, don't do it this way. As long as they have that bill come in, and then you'll start calling more and more, and they'll tell you, oh, what about this? Good question. Pay them again. What about this? Oh, great question. They're not going to see everything. And then you're going to keep asking them questions. And they're like, well, and then something goes wrong. And they're like, well, I advised you on this, but they didn't advise you on everything. They're not going to advise you on everything. They're going to advise you on the questions you ask them. But how do you know what questions to ask them? I do. But you don't even know what questions to ask them. It's billable hours. They'll be your friend, keep you on the phone. They're not your friend. They're making a fee here. Yeah, they're not evil people. They want to help you out, but they are not going to ask you every question. You have to, and that is expensive. You want to do $300 an hour, $500 an hour? Let me talk to the best. That's $2,000 an hour. Let me talk to the best of the best, $2,500, $3,000 an hour. I've talked to them, the best of the best. And still, that's not good enough because they don't know what's in your head, your business plan, right? So it's nice to have them, their logo on it's nice to have their logo on your letters that you send out. That means a lot. It means like, hey, maybe it signifies that you have money and that you'll hire the top firms, and they usually do well in matters when it goes to something gets litigious for whatever reason, which it will. And you should understand that. I had a good rule of thumb. Look, here's something. One of my early advisors, I'm not saying he's an advisor, 10% of his profits he stuck into a legal fund, 10%, because he knew he would not agree with everyone. So every dollar he made, he took 10 cents. And over years, that grew to $20 million. So that's where he kind of either settled or dealt with all that stuff. Very wise guy. He knew when it came to other people's money, there's going to be problems. So he developed a legal fund for himself. I thought that's a great idea. Hey, does anyone tell you that? I'm telling you that now. That's a good piece. But let me tell you where I came from. It's like, how did I all know this stuff? Well, I didn't come from a wealthy family. My street, no one was talking about 401ks growing up. Nobody at all, right? It was a great neighborhood. It was in Connecticut, and went to some good schools. Parents were great. They had a regular living. But they didn't know about this stuff. I didn't know about this stuff. So all I know is I went to a school that was, a private school. So I was surrounded by people who had money. And, you heard things. You kind of a little naive at that age of some people doing better than you. But there's guys one kid, his dad was president of NBC back then. And he drove a normal car and he had a strict upbringing. And yeah, I was like, great, let's go to Chris's house. And very humble upbringing. He didn't get anything pushed out to him, but at some type of wealth I was surrounded around. There's bigger houses around us and big areas, private schools, so it cost a lot of money. Parents worked hard, put me through. Never really thought about it. Maybe I was a little naive. Then there's times I hear whispers of people going to the country club, people going on ski trips every weekend. I was pretty content as a kid. I liked what I did. And I started getting curious, right? And so seeing the curiosity. And then you hear your parents a little frustrated with talks about money here and there. I don't know. It kind of seeped in. It seeped into me. And so as I expanded and got out of my little cocoon of an area and traveled across the U.S., I ended up in another very wealthy area, Boulder, Colorado. So from Fairfield, Connecticut, Fairfield County to Boulder, another wealthy area. It was around people. Somewhere along that kind of dawned on me a little bit of how this works and how money was important, especially like when you kind of get out of college and you just don't have anything and your parents cut you off, like was my case. It's like, it was kind of a really overnight, but it was already ingrained in me and how to do things. Entrepreneurial spirit was there. And I remember I wanted to invest into a condo. I think it was on Broadway in Boulder. And the year was in like 1990, one or two. And it was literally going for less than 90,000. I'm like to my dad, hey, just buy it and I'll get a renter in there and that'll cover the mortgage. And we didn't do it. I think today is like a couple $1 million in that area. It's just a very, very wealthy area. So he wouldn't do it. He wasn't that risk taker type of guy. He talked about doing it, but he never did it. But that was an opportunity where I started to first think about it. And then I was like, hey, man, I know what I want to do when I get older. I want to get wealthy. I want to learn how this whole game is played. So eventually I made my way out to San Diego and ended up in La Jolla. And the reason I wanted to go to La Jolla is my mindset at the time was what better way to learn than if I'm in kind of an area or an ecosystem of people who have wealth. And then I could see, hey, what they did for a living, were they business owners and how they did it. So I immersed myself into it. Really did. I put myself out there, read every book I could, went out there. I was like, I'm going to get my MBA in entrepreneurship and just start making money. I knew real estate was something I wanted to get into at an early age, and I just kind of dedicated myself to that. And lo and behold, after my first year out there, just through my hard work and efforts, I met a couple mentors, and they started kind of teaching me the business. And that's where I started. And so what happened for me to get there, my first stage was hard work, curiosity. They just saw something in me because that hard work and that tenacity I brought and this thirst for knowledge. And I listened all the time. I listened and I listened and I listened. And I went to like this person's house and this person's house. What's a big guy online now? Grant Cardone. I remember him back in the day living in that area. And I got fortunate enough to go to his house a few times. Great guy. He was, nothing. People say what they want to say about people. Nothing. He was fine to me and got to see. And this guy was like very... he had books everywhere. I remember him just reading everything, and he gave me some insights on some things at an early age. I was just soaking it all in, like 3 or 4 years. This is how it works, and these how people navigate, and this is how it happens. And then started getting going through that natural process. And the natural process for me at this time was like real estate, get my real estate license. Hey, get my feet wet into this. I was doing odd jobs at the time, making good money and networking and just having fun and getting to know people. And then I started figuring out, hey, wow, there's kind of two worlds. There's this world I know from a social situation. So I'm getting invited to places, trips, and everything here. Great, going to great events, going to great parties. And then there's this other world here. This is a business world. And it was like two different worlds. And I kind of realized, like, whoa, it's parallel worlds here, right? But these people were like, hey, these are people you can have fun with and invite you to have fun with. Yeah, they're wealthy, they're great. And these are people who have wealth that would trust you with their money. So I had to make that switch. And it was a big switch for me. And I read this book once. It was about business norms and social norms. It's like, okay, and the takeaway for me with the social norms was like, hey, I know all these people socially, right? Socially wealthy, fun, let's have fun. I know a lot of people, popularity contests almost. And there's the business world. Can this guy I make money with? And I was like, okay, these are two different worlds. And I have to flip to this world. And I remember one day, I wasn't kind of hanging out with my social wealthy friends. There's this guy, his name's Santiago, and he started this company called Reef Brazil. That's a big surfer company for you guys who don't know about it. Guy's I'm not sure if he's worth millions today. It was hundreds of millions back then. Chris, Craig, I haven't seen you in a while. We've been hanging out. What's going on? I'm like, hey, Santiago, I want to kind of build my own thing. It was great. I mean, I love hanging out with you guys in your house and stuff. I want to build my whole thing. He looks at me and he goes, yeah, you're gonna make it, man. You know what you're doing. You got your head on right. And and I had to do that, get my head on right, get focused, and start building up and get the respect from those people from the business situation, right? So that's one of the things I did. Hey, again, I'm teaching you some of these things from my experience and my background. And eventually through the grind and understanding how the game's played and understanding how investors are, I was able to build up an investor base, right? And then also markets too. Getting into the markets, like, hey, what could I sell, right? And I started studying a lot of equity plays and real estate. Back then, early days was a lot different. Opportunities were different. A lot of stuff I learned actually was on the construction side, on the land entitlement side, and it was quite a lot of underwriting and due diligence. In one deal in particular, I remember I was doing, and I won't say this is early in the career, a little bit later in the career, but early stages, and I was looking at a lot, right? And the guy's like, hey, Craig, can you help me out? I need some finance in this lot. He says, hey, it's worth $1.2 million. So I go, okay, I'm taking an appraiser course. I'm taking a commercial appraiser course. And everyone's like, why are you doing this? Like, I want to learn. So I'm going to take a course on appraising so I know what questions to ask. So I hire someone from the course to do the appraisal for this transaction. And I was looking at it and they say, hey, it's worth $1.2 million. And then I pull, okay, we want to build, it's 2 lots. I need to get about $600,000. Looking at this, and I looked at it and go, okay, it's not appraisal. Let's get all the environmental reports. It's a piece of land here. Let's call it a lot in this case. I want to see what you could build there. So I started going through the reports, about 50 pages long. I have a unique ability to kind of get to like the page that has all the information. Like, okay. Boom. You need 3 things. I'm like, okay. Number 2. Okay. Oh, it's septic. Oh, okay. It's not 2 lots. It's 1 lot. And to get it, you need to do 3 things. Can't have septic. You need a pump station. I was like, okay. So it's like, and then I go, okay, well, how much is that going to cost? And I forget what number 3 was, but that was the big one. So I go, get on the phone, call someone up. Hey, what does it do to take this? They're like, hey, it's going to cost you $1 million and you're going to have to get approval by the city. And then you have to get all the neighbors. I'm like, you're saying this thing's worth $1.2 million, but to be $1.2 million, you have to spend $1 million to do the lot split. So then I saw some developers there and I'm like, what would you buy this property for? They're like, okay, I'd buy it maybe for $400,000. So you take that $1.2 million, maybe it was for $600,000. And I mean, that's a retail, right? Retail's always a little bit more. But these guys are saying $400,000 a fire sale. So I'm like, the actual value is $400,000. And okay, so go back to the guy. It's like, hey, I'm sorry. It's like, hey, I think your lot's worth $400,000 to $500,000. Maximum I'll give you is $200,000. Guy goes somewhere else. Funny story. a year later, I go to this big convention called California Mortgage Association, and there's this guy talking about, oh, let's talk to Paul. He's the land guy. And Paul starts talking about this land deal he does and gives the guy $600,000, and it's that deal. Here's a guy who had probably at this point in his 60s, like just had me on 30 years, 40 years experience. He didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. He lent on a piece of land. I go to him afterwards. I was like, do you know that that you can't split that lot? It's just one lot. It's not two lots. And he's like, yeah, whatever, Craig. And that's And he's like, as long I got the deal done. It wasn't his money. It was someone else's money. See, this is what they're not telling you. This is the money raising world. Sometimes people don't even care if it's really a deal. In this case, he didn't care. He didn't dive deep enough. But I do. I do care about my investors. I will dive deep on that, right? And I didn't do the deal. He did the deal. I think today there's a house there. It's one house, right? It's one house in a lot. I'm not sure what happened to him with this because this was years ago. I think this was like 20 years ago. But that's a good example of stuff, right? A good example of how, like, hey, where I came. So, I came from just a regular guy. I learned how to do this. Yeah, I traversed across the country, lived in wealthy areas. Maybe I don't have that East Coast accent because the private school, my parents, bless their souls, very hardworking, but they didn't teach me any of this stuff. It just I just had this inner voice telling me, hey, there's more out there. And I've always wanted to build the wealth. And I think another example is it's college and some sorority, and then someone's calling them Visa, MasterCard. And I was like, oh, I get it. They're only going to date the guys who they think are from wealthy families. So I started kind of learning this late, I was like, okay. And, I understood how that game was played. So at this point, I already kind of knew about the wealth dynamics and how people were. So when I entered California, La Jolla was done on purpose to study as much as I can. And lo and behold, it's like when I first started to raise capital, I had to break that mold, social or business norm. And once I did, I was able to raise capital. So that is a lesson I could teach you. You write down, hey, a list of people you know. Where they know you from? A good guy, great, but they didn't know what's your business, what's your background, why you at the end of the day, right? So this gets to my point here, and this is kind of a big point. It's like when you are trying to like get money, why are they ghosting you? Why are they ghosting you on a deal? You tell me. I had a great conversation talking to this guy, yada, yada, yada. Well, I love this 2026 because we can measure if it was a really good conversation. If you call a guy back in 2-3 days and he doesn't pick up the phone, I don't need all this AI. He ghosted you. He didn't want to invest with you. Did you not qualify him? Did you not have the money? Let's say he's qualified. It was you. You did something wrong. A lot of times people have good conversations because they talk all the time. Do you ask the right questions? Do you listen? What's your experience? What are you looking for in investments? What are you looking at currently? I'll tell you right now, a lot of people I know I talk to when I'm sharing my investment, they're probably looking at 2 other investments. If they had a liquidity event and they want to place it somewhere, the first person to go to is someone they know already. Right? You're probably 2, 3, 4, 5 on the list if it's your first time. Why you? Why you at the end of the day? Convince me why should I do this. The other day, some guy's hitting me up. I met at a social event. He's asking me for $5,000. And I'm like, man, if you can't, I was like, put on a credit card. He's like, I can't do a credit card. It's like, that's a red flag for me. You have issues on your credit card. You can't get $5,000 on your credit card. Now I'm not really. Anyway, first of all, I said I'd help him, coach him, consult him, and he's and I'm like, hey, I'm just telling you, it's a red flag. You got to take care of your shit. If you want, like now you got a guy with credit issues raising capital. There's something there who's young who hasn't done it before. That's too risky, right? So here. I didn't ghost the guy. I got back to him. But why you ghosted him? What didn't you deliver? Maybe it's the product. Maybe your product sucks. Be honest with yourself, right? Your product's not good. Have you done the research on your product? Is there a better product out there? Have you learned about tax implications? Are they going to get ordinary income? A lot of wealthy people like the depreciation. So there's assets that they could depreciate against. A lot of them like to put it in growth. One guy I know is like, Craig, I just like growth stuff. Have you talked about using retirement plans, IRAs? Can the IRAs, does your plan, does your investment opportunity work with IRAs? Some don't. Some do. Are you approved for those custodians? Do they have the right custodian? Have they done it before? Have you talked to them both? My favorite one is, let me talk it over with my wife. I don't know how many times I've heard a deal go through and they says, let me talk it over with my wife or let me talk to my business advisor. And when those two things happen, bam, there's not a deal. I was like, and what are you saying? It's 20 seconds. You be direct. It's like, here's an opportunity for you. I was taught, like, Craig, here it is. Tell me what it is. I don't have much time. I have a lot going on. Hey, I got a deal. It'll give you this much interest. It's paid quarterly. Here's a deal. I'm expecting this amount of return over this many years. Hey, here's the deal, right? You got to go over it. And KYC, know your customer, right? So you're talking to someone. If you're talking too much, you don't know them at all. Hey, Jim, how's it going? It's Craig at Diversity Fund. I have a new product. Love to share it with you. Do you have 30 seconds? No, Craig, I don't. Okay. Let's go next question. Is it the product? Do you not want to hear this new product that we created today for you based on this market, based on my 30 years being in business? Maybe you got to get the words right out of your mouth. Practice, right? Maybe he's not qualified. Maybe he's having a bad day. Jim, okay, I'll call you back. But Jim, 30 seconds of your time. Hey, here's a great product today. Gets you this interest rate. Great, tell me more. And the guy says, great, tell me more. Sometimes when they tell you no, they might not have the money, right? It might not be you. So KYC, know your customer. Well, what if I knew Jim was a business owner and I knew he had good revenue coming in? Then I know that's me. It's my pitch. But if I don't know who Jim is before I call him and he hangs up on me and I'm like, well, it was my pitch. Maybe it wasn't your pitch. Maybe Jim has no money, right? It's a KYC, know your customer, right? And then when you have a customer who's got money, don't fucking blow it. Practice. Find someone to practice with. Now, these are like more advanced techniques because today, if you're calling someone in this market, right, and there is people who are liquid, why you if you're new? That's risky. What are you going to do? What are you going to offer them? You can hear the lies out there. This is how you should raise capital for venture capital today. If you don't have AI next to it, it's probably not going to happen. And AI is now getting played out, right? What is it? Is it some SaaS model? Well, we're beyond that. It's got to be beyond SaaS. What's your revenue model? Well, you heard that. KYS, know your shit. Someone asks you, what's your revenue model? Here's our revenue. This is our plan. We're going A, B, C, D. That's good. Really tighten it up. Get those questions answered. It's a back and forth. And if you blow one thing, the guy's going to hang up on you if he doesn't know you, right? Busy people have money. Busy people have money. So why are they ghosting you? You don't know your shit, right? You don't know your customer. Two reasons. You don't know your shit, KYS or KYC. Talking to the wrong person or you don't know what you're talking about, right? And when I go know your shit is like, you got to know a little bit about yourself too. So if you're brand new at this, what's your angle? Know your shit, right? Know your customer. If your customer maybe is a little bit like on the negative side and you're brand new, it might not be the right match. Was that Match.com? I did try to create a company called DeedMatch.com back in the day to match the investor right investment. That was undertaken. That was way pre-crowdfunding. That was 2009. I remember DeedMatch.com. If you look that up, that was me. I started that, and I try to match that up. Try to get this whole thing online. And a good, valuable lesson. These are online businesses, and so they kind of could cap out when you do too small of an amount. So a lot of people with money, they want to talk to people, and I've learned this a lot. Hey, 30,000 customers. I did a group meeting with my customers. Granted, it was like 150, and they all showed up and asked a ton of questions. I'm fine with that stuff. But again, I learned how to public speak so I could talk to people. I know my shit. So when they're asking me questions, I know what kind of answers to give them. And I know that I'm not going to keep everyone happy. This is what I want. So I could give you these lessons and teach you how to do it the right way. The right way is a way that makes you money and makes the other person happy at the end of the day, or at least satisfied enough that you're doing a great job. So you're not going to get sued. Again, preservation of capital. If you're doing something risky, you do have a possibility of losing money, disclose it. understand who your customer is. They'll know if it's a risky play or not on that stuff. Speculative. I have very, very, very strong feelings on venture investments and real estate investments. Very strong feelings of that. I am even getting stronger feelings on private equity now on things and where I see things going right now. And yeah, I mean, it is a different ball game. I'm not new. I'm experienced. And so I have a lot of questions, and I want you to reach out to me. Just kind of like the word I like to use is operator. Just put operator, DM me operator. Love to answer questions about, what are my feelings of where we are in today's market, where we're in a market cycle. There is a ton of opportunity today, and everyone's like running from it. It's like, okay, Charles Munger, Warren Buffett, everyone runs away, run towards all the books. Now it's time to invest. I'm going to wait 2 years when the market comes back. Okay, let the cycle play out again. Maybe you get lucky and you get in the beginning and get some returns because the person who does it, they'll post those things on a social media page, and then you'll go and buy from them after the fact. The first ones in will make the money. So always you want to be the first one in. Everyone wants, like, two is pretty good, right? You could be two. Two is okay. 3, 4, 5, 6, most people react. One's the institutions, right? Number one is the institutions. They're moving first. Number two is the private guys behind the scenes. General public's way too late. Way too late. Democratizing. What the hell does that mean, democratization, right? That means what? We all have equal opportunity. You don't, because the guys who are in the game have the deals. You don't have the deals. They know what's happening before you. It's not democratized. There's no way. Just because the regulator says it's democratized doesn't mean it's democratized. You don't even know how the game's played, right? Well, who are you going to listen to? Let me teach you how to raise capital. I know what I'm talking about. No, you don't. 30 years experience, what does it do to you? Well, one good thing about that is, I haven't really become a curmudgeon yet. Maybe ask my wife. Maybe she says I was, kids. But I still have a positive outtake on things. I'm always constantly learning. What I know is that, hey, what it takes to get a top is a lot of work. Have you been on the top before? That's a lot of work. But to stay on top is a lot harder. In over 30 years, I know what it takes to constantly go up and down and go up and down, how cycles affect people, how people's sentiment is, how customers are, investors are, their mindset, what they're going to do. When I was younger, I'm walking out with my buddy one night and I get punched in the chest. I think I'm like around upper 20s. An investor punched me. Mike, thank you for punching me in the chest. Oh, and that's the way he was with his money. He wanted to be like that. And I'm like, I literally got punched by an investor. I had other investors like call me up on the weekends. Craig, I'm spying on this project over here. Oh, what's going on over here? I mean, I've had like international guys show up in like 3 black Suburbans from another country. Just say this Chinese investors come in, like 3 carloads checking out projects. Right? I've gone to areas across the whole country and talked to different types of people and seen all mannerisms. People flying in planes to go check properties out, micromanagement. Some people are very hands-off on things, extremely hands-off. I was like, where did that come from? That guy's not asking any questions. And then, as time goes on, you're like, okay, you say no. You got to learn how to say no to some capital at the end of the day. That's what 30 years teaches you. It's like, hey, let's do business with people we want to do business with. Hey, I'm a hardworking guy. You're a hardworking guy. Let's get together. You have some capital. I have some capital. You have a deal. I have a deal. Let's go back and forth. Maybe I give you some capital. Maybe you give me some capital. Maybe it goes back and forth. How do we make it win-win? And like right now, I've designed this new product for this market that's just win-win for everybody across the board. Well, you like this. I like this. Okay, let me take that risk off the table for you. And this is what I'll give you. I'll do this based on my experience. If you see another project out there like that, let me know. If it's less risky, go for it, right? So people are making products up. Every year you see a new product coming out. And you know what? I kind of like that more than, hey, this is a traditional product. Traditionally, multifamily real estate, and then we had the largest crash in the history of multifamily real estate. So all these people out there being geniuses on LinkedIn. You're a broker, man. You're a broker. You did a couple deals, right? Have you been through market cycles? You've been through 30 years. I got good debt, and my daddy told me to do this. If the whole game is played one way and you do something that's different, when the banks are like giving you a plan and saying, hey, I'm giving you short-term debt, you get the project this level, I'll give you permanent financing. That's the business plan, and everyone's taught this, and then things go sideways. You should took the 30-year first of all. Well, What type? Are you doing construction? Are you doing some renovation where you have to go off future value? What are you doing? It's not that easy at that point in time. Hey, I got this. Well, you were already rich maybe, and you had a great um, savings account where, there's things called guarantors on some of these loans that someone's a guarantee and they have to look at your financials. A lot of people are new in the game, don't know that. They're like, hey, I could get cheap debt. Well, why the bank? I'm going to get something like a 3% rate. Who they can give it to everybody? No, you have to prove yourself. So you're proving yourself probably with bridge debt till you get to that bank debt, or your financials aren't as good, right? And so, well, what's that, Craig? Well, the game's kind of played. If you're wealthy already, you get the cheap debt. If you're starting out, you got to figure yourself out. Everyone's your friend until things go sideways, then it's all your fault. Oh, now I want to kind of be. I saw a woman posting the other day, and she's like, well, I think LPs need to do this. You're just a GP, then be a GP. If you want all that information, just do the project yourself. You can do the project yourself. So you kind of have to raise in capital. Again, you have to measure expectations. You have to talk to other people. You got to look at the markets. You got to have exit plans and just rapport going back and forth. But that's what 30 years teaches you. It teaches you all the ins and outs and how this works. Worst case scenario, best case scenario. What happens if this happens? This happens. Hey, some reasons I like multifamily real estate is like, hey, as long as the rent's covering the mortgage and, the loan, we could negotiate the loan and keep that going. We're fine. And we just wait until the market changes. I mean, it's pretty simple. The rents cover the mortgage. Let me manage it. Let me build up some, and good times. Where's my distribution? Well, do you want that distribution going out all the time? Or do you want to put that in, maybe pay down principal and create a gap? Or maybe 6 months reserves or 12 months reserves in case the market changes and rents go down and vacancies go down, or both go down, right? Well, vacancies go down, right? And then you guys drop your rent to get the vacancies up. Your cash flow goes down. So yield might go down. Big deal, right? Preservation capital. But are you communicating that to your investors, or are your pro forma is all based on a market that consistently goes up and that, hey, we're doing this at this debt load or whatever that is, and we're going to give distributions? Well, things don't go according to plan. What if you pencil out all these renovation costs and then the price of goods goes up for that? Oil went up. Maybe your price of goods went up. Just saying. Some things you learn with time. And how do you deal with that? Teach you. You just got to be transparent at the end of the day. And this is where everyone comes in and, people call themselves an operator at the end of the day. Are you really an operator? You're raising capital. What did you operate already, right? Operating, you got a lot of people calling themselves an operator. I'm a true operator. Operate like assets, operated companies, operated systems, the day-to-day, the grind, the stuff I'm talking about. That's operations. When you're just talking to someone, oh, I'm the best operator. Well, tell me what you've done. What cycles have you done in? What assets have you managed? What companies you work for? Are you a true operator? I worked for somebody. Well, that's different. You worked for someone. It's your first deal, right? Are you an operator? Let's not lie to ourselves. You're not an operator. Stop calling yourself an operator at the end of the day. You're a capital raiser, or trying to be a capital raiser. You're a deal maker, or you're a broker. You're not a real operator. An operator does everything, all those pieces you got to do. All those pieces, right? So stop calling yourself an operator. Stop kidding yourself. Oh, I got this great business idea. Are you a business operator? No, I don't want to call you a startup because it's scary, because you are going to start a business, but you're not an operator. How about this? Invest with me. I'm going to operate. I've been operating businesses for years. I have a startup. I mean, it's two different things, right? I don't know. It's how you position it at the end of the day. So I'm always going to share real, authentic stories that I want to share with you about my experiences and how it is and how I could help you achieve your goals. Raising capital is name the game. Being a great operator is the name the game. And I'm talking about operating companies, operating assets. We're in a different market. Things are changing really quickly. There's opportunity out there. I mean, who do you want to learn from? Those lies you're learning online, or someone who's been a true operator doing this for 30 years, 30,000 investors. I have more data than AI does on how they act and how they react and how they want reports and all that stuff than anybody else. Who has that? That's based on my experience. I've experienced different market cycles. I could see right now, I could see the opportunities. Actually, I see beyond the opportunities. I see the next market cycle happening. And that market cycle, geez, I don't want to be around for that next cycle. Yeah, we just went through a great time period, and I see we're down here. But then I see the next one coming up, and I'm like, well, what's going to happen after that one? What's going to happen there? It's like, I don't want to be in that cycle. I want to be in this cycle. I like where it's tough. And once things get frothy, right? I'm like, let's move on from that stuff, because it's very hard to see where AI is going to take everything. Everyone's talking about SaaS. What if SaaS is gone? It could be gone. So how we reevaluate companies if it was on a SaaS model? What if that SaaS model is gone? So that SaaS evaluation model gone, right? What if it's gone? EBITDA. What if that's gone? These are things that people used to price businesses in the past, and this is the way Wall Street does it. What if that is all gone? These are questions. These are questions you need to answer. Things change. People have questions. You need to know your shit. You need to have your answers. You know what? We don't have all the answers on where it's going to go, but I think that's a good thing to think of. What is that bit that's gone? What if the way we price and evaluate companies today disappears in 5 years because of AI? Are you thinking about that? That keeps me up at night. It's like, well, how do I evaluate a company? I mean, I could tell you what I'm doing in the next 2 or 3 years, but in 5 years, when AI takes over things, what if it like reconstructs your company overnight? What if you offer like one AI product and I could talk to AI, design that product for me, which it probably can't do in 3 years? What's that company worth? And that got evaluation at $1 billion, and you could ask it. Just saying. A lot of people aren't going to do that. A lot of people aren't going to answer those questions. So again, you got to watch out for the lies, right? It's a time for you. I'm really reaching out to people and having these conversations, operators out there, business owners. Let's get in touch. Let's see how we could help each other. Love to see how you could help grow your company, share my experiences with you. Generation Xer, right? At the end of the day, we're all hard chargers, ways we can make money together, way I can help you out, share stories with each other, get you on the podcast, of course. Love to hear more stuff and how you're doing things, raising capital, maybe using the banks, maybe you have some good accounts receivable right now, and the banks are giving you some, there's deals to be made. Finance world, people always want to make the deals. There's always deals. There's always new financial products coming. They're coming and going all the time, though. The speed is incomprehensible how quickly that is, right? And you got to kind of look at it. Kind of look at the trees through the forest, right? So you got to see that, and you could see things that are out there. And man, it's, I want to really share how it really is and how it really is to raise capital, to build business, to operate a business in these environments. It's for me, it's fun, it's fascinating. Being true to yourself and be authentic is the number one thing. And doing business with people you want to do business with, right? You want to be transparent. You want to use technology, go to a book as an accelerator to help you out and not slow you down, make things perfect. Treat customers with respect. Treat other people like the way they want to be treated and the way you want to be treated. I think there's two things here. Like, the golden rule is always treat other people like you would be treated. And I think that's okay, because that's kind of a little self-serving, how you want to be treated. So yeah, that's one part, but also how they like to be treated. So if you have that common ground, it's like if they want to be treated the same way you're treated and that's your values, that's perfect. If you treat them like they want to be treated, which is their way of doing things, right? And a lot of people say that's tough to do. But if you guys have that happy medium somewhere, meet in the middle, that's a beneficial relationship. So just more of a philosophical thing for me. Grew up pretty Christian, right? Roman Catholic and Jesuit high school, so it's ingrained in my brain. But treating others like how you want to be treated is something I think that is really strong, matching yourself with those type of people. And other people go, hey, how do I treat people like they want to be treated? Merge those two together. That's the commonality. That's your tribe. Get your tribe of investors. So how do you do that? Good ideas. I looked at people like Grant Cardone, helped car dealerships, made them a ton of money, and then hey, they invest with him. Brilliant idea, Grant. That's perfect. I have a buddy. He's like comes from dojos or something to do with karate, Korean guy, and I'm like, hey, why don't you just go to other guys who've successful, and make that your tribe. Recommendation to them. If he takes it, great. If not, no big deal. But just how is the easiest way where you can relate to people? How do you relate? Maybe guys like a father, 3 daughters. I work hard all the time. There's sacrifices. I made 30 years of doing this. A lot of things I've missed, and I love my family, and first and foremost, I want to make sure they're provided for, putting food on the table, and things go through. So I do miss a lot of events with my family, and I always want to keep things first there for them. But unfortunately, I can't all the time. There's decisions to be made. So I try my best, and I believe I'm doing my best. And as long as they understand their father's out there doing his best and being true and authentic and leading from the front, that's how I want my daughters to see me. And hopefully, when they get older, and especially my oldest one right now, meet a man, meet someone who is like that, who's going to confront things and do it in a manner which is respectful. That's all I could ask for at the end of the day. And it is tough. It's tough missing some of their things, and it really does hit home at the end of the day. But 30 years experience, it's like, hey, you have those customers calling you now. Again, if they're like you, this is what it'd help you out. If you have the right customers, they respect you and your time and communication systems, allows that family time to happen. If you get the wrong customers calling you on a Sunday and you're at your kid's soccer game, that's a little different story, right? You have to take that call, and that's like matching yourself to the wrong people. So there's ways I could help you with that out, right? With my experience, I'm like, hey, choosing the right customers, choosing the right communication systems, the infrastructure, alignment with teams. Again, people who work the same way you do. Good experience here, and learning how to apply technology as an accelerator, not to slow you down. That's a big one. A lot of things. I do have a lot to say about marketing and how the marketing industry was and how misleading it's been, and how there's a lot of people who are in marketing that not necessarily have the expertise. Now, what's your expertise? A college degree? And right? I help to come, and then the other, what's your other expertise? Well, to say you're a marketing expert, you don't have to have any accolade. You could just put it on your resume. So what are you doing? I help this company raise money. Well, ask them the questions. Who? Right? If it was that easy, if I go out there and hire a company to run my marketing, it'd be like 100 companies doing the same thing I did. It's not that easy. You're going to have to own that yourself. But we hire all these agencies, and they give us all this fake advice. You're going to have to learn that and figure out how that molds into your revenue source. So watch out for the marketing, especially now. Oh, AI is going to do this. Well, I know a lot about AI, and it's not going to solve everything, because I'm going to ask someone for $1 million. It's not going to be through an AI text or an AI phone call, right? Or through some spam. It's going to take some ingenuity to do that in today's world. So, social media post. Don't think my social media post is really going to make a difference. Multi-channel approach. Great. I'm going to sit here and spend 90 days to try to raise capital by doing multi-channel approach. What are you going to do? Right? So I can help you a little bit there out. It is dynamic in nature. And again, you're going to have to think a little bit more, right? And who are you going to trust? That young guy with all the, these false accolades online on how to do things, or someone with the experience has done it year in and year out. So, these are real stories. This is authentic stuff coming to you from me with over my 30 years experience. There's no lies here. I call this Receipts Week. What are your receipts? Show me what you've done. 30,000 investors and counting, millions, billions of dollars placed, different market cycles, different assets. I'm still going strong. I'm still learning. Now it's time for me to share my stories and my experiences with you. So subscribe to my channel. Hopefully you can learn more. Love to get some interactive stuff. DM me operator, DM me raise capital. Just DM me, hey, I just want to get you Craig, CXC. Check out my social channels. Love to learn more about you, your challenges, what you're doing. Again, I'm going to be attracted to another operator. So if you're an operator, you're in the trenches, that's who I'd like to talk to at the end of the day. Someone's going through the game, not someone who's on the sidelines saying what if and this and that. That's actually in the trenches trying to build a business, or trying in the trenches today, trying to keep their business going in this new world. Take care. Check in again. Subscribe to my channels.